Good evening, Maura Culbert. How are you?
Hi, Denise. I'm really well, thank you. Great to
I
see you.
thank you so much for joining us this evening, and it's been such a fun week. And yeah, just introducing you to the gallery. You're a new artist with us, and you started during lockdown, which normally we weren't taking on any new artists, but we loved your work immediately, and then we saw it in the flesh from after lockdowns. We were able to open. So, can you explain to me how it all began?
I would love to. Sure, I'm absolutely thrilled, and in such an awful time with this pandemic and such negativity and everything around the place, I nearly feel guilty for having this opportunity. For myself, it was a completely different experience, I suppose, to most people. And I did hear some of your artists as well say that a lot of them that paint all the time found it really difficult knowing what was going on and everything. Whereas for myself, it was the opposite because I studied art many years ago and had an exhibition and all of that, and then I studied interior design as well, and that kind of took over, to be honest. So
Mm.
I, I feel this was just a massive opportunity for me to stop and have a think about things. And I started, because everybody was kind of going doing creative things, there was nothing else to do. I
And
started to
it's a great
again.
way to do. A lot of people picked up music instruments as well during lockdown, so it really was a time to. And even the artists are with us. They said that they were trying different ideas as well. So it's a great way to be creative and maybe turn something positive out of a negative situation. Can we ask what college you went to? Which college did you start off in?
In WIT. I started in WIT and I studied design there. I did a diploma for 2 years. And then I went straight on from that. So I was 6 years in college. I went on and I did my diploma. At that time, you did your diploma for 3 years. And then I did my degree, my honours degree. And it's kind of strange in that it started with the interiors, which was all interior spaces. And then when I went to college, I still loved that interior, the perspective, light and dark and shade, doors open, and a little bit Edward Hopper type of thing. I would have really liked him. And this all developed on without me really, really noticing it until I had left college, that I had started with enclosed spaces, with interiors. And I would have been, like, I didn't fly for 15 years and all of that. And it ended up with me painting the sea. And it was only when I left, and my lecturer said that they could see me develop and see all this happen. So I went from like literally painting rooms and even a lift shaft at one stage with that claustrophobic thing. And there was performance pieces I had to do and all that as well, to my end of year show being the sea. Um,
Well, I love this as well. Like, you can't swim.
And I think that comes from a lot of I suppose, the thing with the sea. There's a little bit of both, I suppose, there. And I suppose when I was in college, again, one of your artists there was saying, it's not like you're not really taught. Well, I certainly wasn't in WIP. It's more of a journey and an experience, and you really have to do that yourself.
Mhm.
Like when I started off, I was given an organic, which was leeks, and I had to study that leek, bring it home in my bag. I was buying more leeks, was having leeks for dinner. The children at the time and everything was all about the leek. And they were linear. So that's really how my drawing of the waves and all of that started. It actually started from a leek.
Wow.
Um, yeah, which was amazing. And even like the small little detailed pieces that I did, I look back on it now. So it was a massive journey. I never really thought that that was going to take me
Mhm.
to into the sea. Like I had
Yeah.
no idea. Again, that kind of, as you say there, not being able to swim, I still am afraid of the water. It's the claustrophobic thing. For
Mhm.
looking at me, looking at it, studying it, I love it. That lovely breeze, and especially our climate, I love it, and that freshness. But once you get into the sea, for me, into the water, it becomes the opposite, because then you can't breathe, which is like my my biggest fear. So yeah, that's where the I suppose water comes. I just
It's funny because when you look at your especially the one behind me, I just feel like I want to dive straight into that ocean.
Yeah, like that's it. And I suppose it is all the years of studying and looking at the water, and that's why it's so exciting today to have these works, because I suppose I stopped when I shouldn't have, but hindsight is a great thing. But I honestly believe I wouldn't be as good a painter today only for the interior design, and equally the other way, because even with, I do a lot of color now. I would be like a color expert, and it's not about fashion. It's not about what's in or out or anything. It's about what's in a color. So when you spend 6 years in college mixing paint and everything, it's the understanding of a room is like a painting. It's a backdrop. You layer. You have to know what's right. You have to know symmetry is massive, and it's all very connected for me. It really is. And even when I like, the interior design has taken now a backseat. I really am not doing really any more big projects or anything. Color. Okay, but I am now, I have decided and made an actual decision that no, the art is my number one now. I'm going to be, yeah.
And that was all due to lockdown, was it?
It was absolutely due to lockdown. And it's so funny because there was a Christmas there where I decided to give my son and his wife a present. They lived near Hateley Bridge and they were moving, and I wanted to do a painting of Hateley Bridge. And it's so funny because I hadn't got any boards at the time, so I actually painted over another painting that was there of Sacre-Cœur. So I suppose, as much as I love my paintings and all of that, I kind of thought then, it was a friend said to me, Maura, maybe you should have a few spare boards in case this happens again, because you destroyed a beautiful painting. So that really, so I all boards now. So I just feel that I owe it to myself that again, I love the design, the color, because color was massive for me anyway. Really, I specialize in color more than anything. But this has really taught me, no, I am like, art is it now. I am totally.
That if it's in the blood, it will eventually come out, and a lot of people take it up much later on in life, that so I can totally relate. It's your time, don't you, to do this?
You absolutely do. And I think it's as well about not being afraid. And like I said, I painted over that painting. I love my work, I absolutely do, but I love to let it go. I love it to go, and I love to move on. And that's why now I'm thrilled with this and with this exhibition and everything. And it's great then going forward. It's like, I suppose, like I would have worked with bigger studios. I had a really big studio and everything, but I feel I'm actually better in a smaller space, because I suppose it is about your headspace, and the bigger space I have, more, I suppose, chaotic I make that space, and then I clean up after myself and I make it all, all lovely again, a bit like myself, I suppose. But this way, I suppose I've never been in such a good space. It's a small space, but it's a happy and it's a bright space. And I don't think I've ever been so content and happy. And to be honest, I've never slept so well, which is so funny. It's like, it's like I found myself and I'm not letting it go.
Yeah. And you moved. When did you move to Dublin? And you were saying your other studio, it was based in Waterford, the large studio.
In Waterford, yes, and it was a beautiful studio, and it was like this is just a stopgap, supposed to be, but we ended up being here for like 5 years. But there's things going on now, my house in Waterford and all that. But with lockdown, that all stopped. But it really has made me think that this space has become huge for me, and like, eat here and stuff and like that as well. And it actually is, I think, better for me, because that chaotic and that absolute little bit of kind of Francis Bacon studio type thing, I can't allow that to happen, because I have to keep it fairly, I have to eat here and I have to kind of live here. So it's nearly like in the evening time, I thought that would disrupt my work, but it actually does the opposite. So in the evening time, I kind of have to tidy up to a certain extent. It clears my head for the next day. So it's been a learning. Yeah, I thought I needed all this space, and when I had the studio itself, and it was just my studio, was probably like 4 times the size of this space, whereas the main thing, studio, everything. And I just find it better here. So like it does. Yeah, it's like with interiors as well. I think if you're happy, there are certain spaces. I don't know anything about Feng Shui, but I think you do get a good feeling somewhere. And this is my happy space.
To work, yeah. No, it's amazing. And can I ask, do you have a few, like, how do you start a piece? Do you work from photographs, or do you go out to the sea and sketch pieces first and then go back to the studio?
No, I when I was in college, I did all of that. I sat out mainly on the Copper Coast, Ballydowan Beach, and the reason I loved that, it wasn't even the beach; it would be more getting up on the rocks, because you probably can tell from my paintings, it isn't really about the sand and where that water comes into the beach. It is about that bobble, that water, that anticipation. And I really do think it is very, very much like emotions. And especially for me, like being claustrophobic, being, at one stage in my life, I would have been very anxious at times and stuff like that. It's all about control, and it's about managing yourself. And like I manage myself quite well, I think. Just again with the sea, I would sit there, I would photograph it, I would sketch it, I draw it. I did it like I said, all those years. So now I still do. Like I was away in Waterford there, stayed in a hotel there in Dunmore East, and I made sure I had a room that I was looking at the sea, sitting on the windowsill, still looking at the sea, still studying it. When I'm painting now, I don't. I cover the back of the painting straight away. I cover that. I kind of have to get that covered, and then I just start, and it takes me to whatever type of sea it's going to be, whether it's rough or calm, or whether it's, like I said, that wave, the anticipation, the swing, all of that, all those emotions, and I just kind of take off, and
So would you say that reflect your emotions on the day you're painting it? I mean, if it's the rough sea, is that how you're feeling? Or if it's there's another calm piece there behind you, or does that mean it just depends on what you're feeling that day?
Do you know, I don't really know. And the reason for that is, I suppose, my personality. I could flip from being absolutely, one quickly. So I wouldn't even get the day being all the one level of calmness or whatever. So I suppose what it is really, again, is that I know when it's not right. So when I start, say I start with maybe a wave coming or whatever, I keep going at it, and I'll do kind of a good form of it, and then I stand back. I will know straight away with just a couple of marks. I do paint, and I rub away as well. I would paint on, and I would also remove some paint. Sometimes really, really vigorously, I would take away mark, and then I go back into them. So it isn't that I am calm painting a lot of the time, because my energy is in it. I'm standing back, looking at it. Again, my space would end up being destroyed with paint, and nothing matters when I'm in that space. Yeah, and it's just a matter of knowing when it's right. I could think it's finished, then sit down, I'll keep the painting there and look at it, and the next thing I'll think, no, that is wrong. That there has to be another bit of an anticipation of a wave here, or I could end up painting over the whole thing and starting again.
Oh gosh, really? And do you work with palette knife, is it, or brushes?
I worked with the palette knife. There's one there now, a palette knife one, all right, but I don't know why I keep going back to, I just love the acrylic. I love the layering of it. I just really do. And with the palette knife, I find that sometimes I want to remove those marks, and it's difficult because if it's thick and that. So it is a lot of removing it, and it's about the layering and the layering and the layering. And I think that's what gives the depth and gives that kind of motion, gives that kind of, it's not ever for me going to be one line and another line and doing the painting without removing ever. It will never be that. I have really finished a painting really where friends and family would say it's amazing. And I would be heading off that morning and going somewhere, and I would paint it all over in white. Get out the door. Yeah, and I'd feel relieved that I did that. I'd feel relieved rather than looking at it going, it's not what I wanted.
Yeah. I can understand that completely, actually. And just has anyone ever, like you just talking about friends and family there, would they ever commission you to do, say, their portrait or a certain area of a beach scene? Are you open to that type of commissioned work?
Well, it's really funny that I know I like to paint, and just if people love the work, they love the work.
Mhm.
And saying where a painting is from or anything like, I suppose I'm not too deep or too, it is what it is. But I suppose making paintings here with this show, I found that I did have to. Initially, as I said to you, I didn't think I needed it, but then I found I did, because I didn't really realize that each painting was such an emotion, that there was the breaking, and there was the calm, and there was, and actually astonished me, because it really brought to the front the emotion thing
Mm.
in relation family. Like, my son absolutely loves the sea, and he can swim. He's a great swimmer, and his wife. So they love any paintings that I have. And my other son, not so much. But my other son, it's James and Luke, and Fiona's James's wife. But Luke is like my critic. Everything has to be passed by him. It's very yeah, he just finished his master's in Madrid in fashion, and he will tell me as it is. He will say no or yes or whatever, but not interested in see. But definitely, his little dog baby passed away there a while ago, and I did a painting of her for him, and so he would have his own little things that I would do. Yeah, but the commission thing, I just don't want anything to kind of have me restricted. I suppose that's the control thing. I want to paint the way I paint.
And want to, yeah. No, and you've got your own style, so stick with it. And do you prefer? You just said you love the layers that you work with acrylics. So, have you tried oil painting, or
I
are you?
oil painting in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I started with, and again, it was interior spaces and all of that. And actually, I painted a lift shaft. It was all the claustrophobic thing. I wouldn't go in a lift and things like that. And actually, it became an exercise in the college after I left that we had the painting lift shafts. But, yeah, the oil for me just didn't dry quick enough. When started with the sea paintings, because of this, it became too muddy, and I couldn't leave it, and but when I
dry, it either works for some or it doesn't.
Absolutely. But a lot of the lectures in college, like, I do remember, like, saying that it did nearly look like it looked like oil, so it looked like oil because, I suppose, of the layering and the richness and all of that. Whatever way I worked with it, it just has that richness.
Yeah, no, it does. And just one last question. So, what do you prefer? Do you like working in the day or evening? I know you're it's tricky where your studio is and it's in your home, but are you tempted to get the easel back out in the evening time after dinner is over?
Yeah, here, I suppose, like that, it doesn't happen that often. Again, I do prefer to paint in light. I really do. I think it looks so different during the day. Painting during the day and then look at it at nighttime, yes. But if I was at the very, very early stages of a painting, I don't mind so much, because it's not going to be, each mark makes a difference. But when I get to, like, the end, where I'm going into kind of more detail and stuff like that, definitely need the full light to see exactly, kind of, to get that perspective of the sea and the detail and all of that.
Yeah, no, I love your work, and the images don't do it any justice, as always, from the website. They're beautiful. When I got them in the gallery, hung them on the wall, they're just magical. There's a very calmness about them as well, and I love the way you can get lost in your work, and that's what it's all about. So delighted to have you, and welcome to the doorway, and we look forward to doing this again.
Well, thank you so much. It has been such an opportunity, and, like, it's great because the Doorway Gallery was always a gallery that I went into, even when I was living in Waterford, when I come up here. So this is huge for me, and I really do believe only for that I'd probably be back on the M50 again. So thank you so much.
No, it's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting times. All right. Thank you so much, Maura. And
thank you, Denise. Great to talk to you.
And you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.